Well, Justin Trudeau is at it again. He's hosting an event in Ottawa where I think it costs almost $2,000 a plate for people to enter, and he's got the Gestapo out front protecting him because there's a massive pro-Palestinian protest, as well as Danielle Smith talks about how basically safe injection sites are ruining our country, and Pierre Paquet just recently did a press conference about not just acts and attacks, but also about immigration and how he plans on kind of slowing things down and making it a little bit more targeted. There are so many things to cover in this video. So before we get into it, folks, I want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. And I really encourage you to stick around for the entire video because you're not going to want to miss any single topic. And of course, before we get into it, I just want to say that this is the last month. At the end of this month, I'm taking this sticker bundle down, and I will have other bundles in the future, but this one is 20% off. You get all 5 of these stickers, so get it before it does come off the shelf. And without further ado, let's get into this video here. So we've got Daisy Media on X who says, what the heck is this thing? I miss the old days when surveillance was done from an old panel van that said something like Trudeau's flowers. This is very bizarre.
What the heck is this thing? Parliament Hill.
Is that a surveillance drone or some form of technology?
Innovation, Science and Economic Development Canada.
A data mining tool to get everyone's
What the heck is this?
digital ID around that area.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's
We're being
kind of
watched.
sketchy.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
And you know what's crazy is he's the only person that actually found this. I haven't seen another footage of this at all. So good job, Daisy Media, for actually getting that footage. And then next up, we have somebody stopped the Speaker of the House, or I guess the Mr. Speaker himself, out in the streets here. And this is the kind of cool thing about Canada is the politicians, they walk around, right? Like there's so many times where Justin Trudeau's been spotted just walking outside of Parliament and walking in different areas. I mean, even somebody on the ski hill the other day or the other week stopped him and asked him some questions on the ski hill. Like our politicians are within arm's reach here in Canada to actually ask questions. Like that's kind of cool. The fact that you can actually see, if you're just lucky enough to see, you know, the Mr. Speaker himself out in the streets, you can ask him some honest questions. It's kind of a beautiful thing, and I really appreciate that.
We're still here. We are still here standing against the terrible lies and corruption that never seem to end. Lies and corruption that
Speaker of the House.
permanent ignorance and permanent poverty, not to mention perpetual war. We are here to stand against the horrible lies and corruption that have left a wake of destruction, desolation.
So one thing I do remember from when Greg Fergus started taking over as House Speaker, he would start off very differently. Anthony Rota and other House Speakers always said oral questions, questions orales, honorable leader of the opposition, and then everyone claps, and that's how question periods start. But this guy came in and he would start it differently. He would say, questions orales, oral questions, and he reversed it. I didn't like that, and so I have a second channel called House of Canada. It almost has 100,000 subscribers. We're very, very close to getting there, and the views on that account, when I stream question period, when it happens, they get more views than like Global News, CTV, and even the federally broadcasted stream on CPAC literally combined. Thousands of people tune in, sometimes 5, even 6, 7,000 people live. It's absolutely incredible. And I started noticing that right out the gate, and I said, man, I just hate how that's happening. And after I bitched about it on my stream, coincidentally, within a couple of weeks, he actually reversed how he said it back to the normal way. Oral questions, questions orales. I don't know if it's a coinkydink, but nonetheless, I'd like to take a little bit of credit for that. At least it makes me feel a little bit better. Next up, we have the Gestapo here. Massive pro-Palestinian protests outside King Edward Hotel in Toronto, where Justin Trudeau is hosting a $1,700 per plate fundraiser to discuss affordability. My bad. I thought it was $2,000 a plate. Whoopsie. That's a lot of people. Justin Trudeau is complicit in the genocide of Palestinians. Holy smokes, they got horses again. What is up with this overwhelming presence of police? Like, these protests, they've been relatively peaceful. Like, they've been peaceful. They've been overwhelming, sure. But again, I mean, this is a controversial issue because a lot of people, especially, viewers I see in the comments of this channel, of the, that participated in the Freedom Convoy or supported the Freedom Convoy, really don't like these protests because they're not getting treated the same way that the Freedom Convoy got treated. And I understand that animosity and that resentment and where that stems from. And now it seems like they are treating it similarly. They've got a lot of police, they've got the horses, the cops on the horses, and they've got the whole shebang. The next thing, I guess, is the riot gear, and it's just very interesting how things can remain, I mean, overwhelming in terms of numbers, but there hasn't actually been any calls for action or any violence that's taken place. And the government's initial reaction or response is, let's just flood the streets with cops and maybe that'll intimidate people and push them away. And that doesn't really seem like a democratic country, and we're we're like free to protest and express our democratic rights. No, it just seems like a kind of a manipulation tool that the government likes to use, and it's happening more and more frequently. It's just very bizarre. Next up, we have Pierre Paquet that says at his press release today, Justin Trudeau's unleashed chaos on our immigration system. He says the Conservative government will reinstate common sense conservative immigration policies that block illegal immigration. Let's take a look at the clip.
Should the Prime Minister have said yes to Premier Legault's demand to transfer all immigration powers to Quebec?
Trudeau caused the crisis. Let's start with that. He unleashed chaos in our immigration system by keeping Roxham Road open for years after the Americans offered to close it, by removing the visa requirement for Mexico that common sense conservatives had put in place, which led asylum claims to rise from 250 to 17,000 in just 8 years, with almost 90% of those claims not found to be legitimate by the Immigration and Refugee Board. More than half of the intake of refugees have been going to Quebec, even though that province has only 22% of the national population. Obviously, that has put massive, by the Liberal government's own admission, that has put massive strain on housing and social services. My commitment is to reinstate common sense conservative immigration policies that block illegal immigration, that discourage false asylum claims, that bring legitimate refugees, economic immigrants, and family members here to be part of Canada, but do so in an orderly fashion with numbers that line up with the availability of social services and housing. And of course, we would work with all provinces, including Quebec, to do that.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. I'd like to know down in the comments what you guys think about that. I know Roxham Road's been a really, really big issue with illegal immigration. People, like, literally, they get bussed up from, like, South America all the way to Quebec, and then they just walk across a road from America into Quebec, like, quite literally, just a road through the woods or a dirt path or service road or whatever it is. And they come in, and there's been lots of coverage about that, not by mainstream media, but by independent people. I think even the leader of the PPC, Maxime Bernier, went to Roxham Road once upon a time and was like, look at all the immigrants. They're just literally crossing. So very bizarre, but I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. In addition to that Pierre Paquet answer, we have another one. Liberals and NDP MPs will have to decide whether they vote for their constituents or whether they will vote for Justin Trudeau to dig deeper into the pockets of Canadians who are freezing and starving.
Trudeau's April 1st carbon tax
he almost said April Fools,
23% is scheduled to take effect in just a few weeks, April Fool's Day, and with Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, the joke is on you. Trudeau will hike gas prices at stations like this one. Home heating bills will rise across the country. Farmers, fishermen, truckers who all bring us food will be paying more and passing on those prices at the grocery store to Canadians who are already starving. That's why common sense conservatives are standing with 70% of Canadians in the polls and 70% of provincial premiers who have called for Trudeau to spike the hike, cancel this heartless and cruel April 1st tax hike. There will be 2 common sense conservative motions before the House of Commons next week. Liberal and NDP members of Parliament will have to decide whether they vote for their constituents' affordable gas, food, and homes, or whether they will vote with Justin Trudeau to dig deeper into the pockets of Canadians who are freezing and starving. That will be the decision.
Yeah, I've noticed a significant rise in my home heating bill, and it's just super depressing, man. It's super depressing that times are so tough right now. Even, treating like my wife to a steak, right? Instead of going out and having a steak dinner, going to the grocery store and buying a steak. And what 2 steaks, what they normally cost, like a nice cut, $25, $30. It's not like $50 for just take home steak and cook it yourself. So when you go out to a restaurant, you're paying an exorbitant amount of money. And I don't know about you guys, but my family sure have really cut down on how much we're going out, how much food we're ordering, because it's just not affordable, man. Even gas where I'm living in BC is like $1.63 a liter, $1.63 a liter. I don't know what that converts to American lingo, but chances are you're watching from Canada, and I'm sure you can relate. So let me know down below what your gas price is, because it seems like we've got a couple of weeks. We're what, March 15th, so April 1st is coming up in 15, 16 days. Shit's gonna get way more expensive, folks. Way more expensive, and I'm not looking forward to that. And good thing we've got the Conservative government that is going to repeal the unconstitutional bill C-69 that blocks development and replace it with the new law that protects the environment, consults First Nations, but gets things built, and will support Canadian pipelines that deliver Canadian energy to Canadian markets and are built with Canadian steel. Guys, I love how much he says Canadian pipelines, Canadian energy, and Canadian steel. I love that it's all about Canada, 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 Canada. Freaking love it, man. Let's take a look at this clip here.
Do you think the Energy East pipeline project could be revived? And if so, how would you help that come along as Prime Minister if you're elected?
I strongly supported the Energy East pipeline. I think it is insane that we are, here in St. John, we are importing 130,000 barrels of Saudi Arabian, Nigerian oil at the same time as our Western producers are blocked from selling their product to other Canadians. Justin Trudeau killed the Energy East pipeline. His Liberal New Brunswick MPs helped him kill it. They did nothing to champion the jobs of New Brunswickers or of Western Canadians. Common sense conservatives will repeal the unconstitutional C-69 that blocks development and replace it with a new law that protects the environment, consults First Nations, but gets things built. And I will support Canadian pipelines that deliver Canadian energy to Canadian markets and are built with Canadian steel. That's what it means to bring it home. By the way, today, if we had the Energy East pipeline, we could pump Western petroleum, put it on a ship, send it to Europe, break European dependence on Putin. Justin Trudeau has a pro-Putin energy policy. He's blocked natural gas liquefaction projects and the Energy East pipeline, which would have allowed the Europeans to power their economy with clean Canadian energy rather than dirty Russian oil and gas. So my common sense plan is the opposite. It's pro-Canadian. It turns dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people.
Amazing, man, to have somebody that is this pro-Canada. running for prime minister. Instead, we currently have this schmuck right here where he says he has no choice but to move forward with the carbon tax. Oh, yeah, man. I can't believe that this guy's still in power.
Everyone seems to be talking about the price we've brought in on pollution. Nobody is talking about the Canada carbon rebate that puts more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 families across the country than the price on pollution actually costs them. So taking away the price on pollution or leveling it off where it is would actually mean less money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians in the jurisdictions where it's imposed, which doesn't make sense. Canadians are squeezed on groceries, they're squeezed on rent, they're squeezed on cost of living. We are putting more money in their pockets 4 times a year with the Canada carbon rebate, and we're going to continue to do that.
So what are you going to say to Mr. Fury, though, specifically? Do you think he's a short-term thinker?
I think Mr. Fury is continuing to bow to political pressure. I think Canadians in Newfoundland and Labrador and right across the country expect their governments to do the right thing. And the right thing right now is not just fighting climate change and spurring innovation for the future. It's about being there to support Canadians during this affordability crisis. And the Canada carbon rebate helps out 80% of Canadians with more money than they pay in terms of a price on pollution. It's basic math, and we're going to continue to be there to support Canadians with the Canada carbon rebate.
Bro, it's not basic math, though. This is, I don't know who's believing this. You're going to end up paying $3,000 to $5,000 minimum in additional expenses because of the carbon tax, and you'll get back $1,200, $1,500. That's not, you're not getting more back. It doesn't make any sense. This guy is lying to us. At least that's the numbers that I've seen, folks. That's the numbers that I've seen. Everybody's talking about it. So either we are all crazy or we're being gaslit by our own prime minister. Now, which one would you rather believe? Are you thinking that it's so far-fetched that our own prime minister would gaslight us? Or do you think, no, that is a possibility. It's a really shitty possibility, but it definitely is one. I'd like to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And finally, we're going to end it off with Danielle Smith's words here about safe injection sites.
The fact that you're starting to see literally 10,000 pills, and that's only one drug bust, being diverted into the illegal market. And these are not safe drugs. When I looked at a recent BC coroner's report a few years ago, there were no young people dying of hydromorphone overdoses. Now about 1/3 of the young people who are dying of a hydromorphone overdose. And that's the drug that they are using is a so-called safe supply. We just don't think that any derivative of heroin is safe. And our approach is different. We're taking the approach of getting people into recovery, getting them onto a virtual opioid dependency program to give them alternative therapies so that they can get recovered. But we also have a law enforcement problem here, because if you've got tens of millions of dollars of free drugs getting into the hands of organized crime and gangs, and then they're marketing it across the country, then we've got to have a serious talk with British Columbia about how we're going to stop that. So I've asked my ministers to engage with their counterparts and see what we can do. One of the things we did try to do is get the federal government to put some trackers, some chemical tracers in these so-called safe supply drugs, because then that would allow us to be able to track when someone overdoses or if somebody dies. Was it caused by drugs that have been diverted? I think we need to have the answer to that question. The federal government turned us down, and we're going to see if we can get a joint effort with the British Columbia government to put those chemical tracers in there so that we have the information that we need to solve the problem. The fact
a lot of people are very fed up with safe site injections and things like that. I mean, you even have right here, safe supply is meant to wipe out an underclass. It's, I don't know. I'd like to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Are you pro safe supply? Are you against it? In either way, let me know the reasons why. Folks, that's where we're going to end today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I'd really hope by this point you've already liked the video and subscribed by now, and hopefully you consider turning post notifications on so it adds a layer of insurance to make sure that you can actually be notified of upcoming videos and stay in the loop as to what's happening here in Canada. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.